Well, welcome everyone to our third installment of AI Simplified for Small Businesses. I'm Ronnie McClintock. I am the owner of Feather Nest Co-Learning Group here in our small town of Las Vegas, Nevada. I am a technophobe, not even a technophobe, technophile, and emerging technology enthusiast. So I'm going to spend the next hour with you and share some of the things that I've learned and things that I think are very cool for small businesses to know. So as we go through, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or raise your hand. I love for this to be interactive. And if I don't see your hand, then I know Cherie will. Okay. All right, let's get going. We have a very full agenda today. So we're going to talk about, I'm going to just do a little recap of why we're here, what we're doing, what this stuff is about. And then we're going to talk about creating your financial projections using AI, determining price points for different products and services, how to optimize your product mixes. And then I'm going to show you how to research your competitors using AI. Awesomeness. Okay, well, first of all, let's kind of review what's generative AI. In a nutshell, it's a technology that helps us create new things, new content from business plans, marketing materials, documents, and it does it by quickly learning vast amounts of information that exists already. So it goes out, it scours the internet, it basically does a super read of everything that's out there, and it comes back and gives you information based on all that. It matters because as a small business owner, you can automate a lot of the tasks that you do day to day. Then will save you significant time and a whole lot of resources. It will help you become more innovative and more competitive because now you can literally do more with less. So here's what we've covered so far. The last time we met, we talked about how to create your business plan using generative AI, how to craft a marketing process. We designed a social media image using DALL-E, which is one of the tools in the ChatGPT, in the OpenAI arsenal. And then we also created social media messaging. So that gives you a leg up on how to create that content quickly. This time we're going to go a little bit deeper and look at, again, how we can really dig into the business part of our business. So I want to give a shout out to Dr. Sorry, hold on one second. To Dr. Young Spaeth, sorry, who met with me and shared information about the Kern County Black Farmers Association. And Dr. Evelyn is the motivation for some of the information I'm going to share with you today. She actually did give me enough information to be kind of a use case. So we're going to use the example of her business, the Kern County Black Farmers Association, to talk about things like price points and product mixes. So let's take a look at price points. We all set prices in our business, right? How do you set prices? You can just pop it up in chat or you can unmute. How do you set your prices now? Do you look around and see what other people are doing? Do you Google your competitors? Do you go out and try to buy something similar to what you offer? How do you set your prices now?
I think the most prominent way is going out and try to purchase or engage what you are offering and see what your competitors are offering or pricing at. Gives you a good idea of at least a ballpark range you should be in.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what most of us do. And it does make it keeps us competitive. But there's some ways that you can optimize how we go about doing that. So when in talking with Dr. Evelyn, I understood that she really likes to grow and sell watermelon. So we played around with how much should she charge per watermelon? How much does it cost her to grow a watermelon? And so she was, sharing with me what her profits are, and I was saying, I think maybe you could optimize that. So what we did was I created this prompt, And I'm going to place this prompt in the chat. And I'll just go through it first. You're going to talk when we talk to ChatGPT, we want to put it in the frame of what we want the information to come back to us as. So we always speak to it, first of all, kindly, but we tell it who they are so that they can get in it, so that chat can get in that frame of mind in the answer. So, hello, chat. You're a seasoned 10-year small market garden farmer in Central California. You want to determine the break-even point for planting, growing, and selling seeded watermelon. Please tell me how much it will cost to grow 50 watermelons. Take into account the cost of soil, fertilizer, water, seeds, and labor. And we set a labor rate, just a generic labor rate at $10 per hour. How much should I charge per watermelon? So you can imagine with your own product, you can go in and put in the specifications. Maybe you're taking into account space rental. Maybe you're taking into account electricity, gas, water. So you're going to put in your own. I'm going to actually, because the magic is in the prompt, it really is in how you write the prompt. I'm going to go ahead and share my prompt with you. And I have a very full prompt here. So I'm going to cut and paste it right in. And you can actually use this as a model for yours when you write your own. Just kind of tweak it a little bit. Okay, let's place that prompt there. All right, so I'm going to share that with you. So your labor rate may be higher or lower. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go over to our chat GPT. And you all can see my chat, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, I like to use the dark because I don't know. I just think it looks cooler. I don't know why. So I'm going to paste my prompt right into my chat. Okay. And again, I'm starting with a fresh chat. No, I've been using it all day, but I want to make sure that I'm not using one of the old ones because it will take the information from one of my old conversations and try to answer this question with that. So you want to start with a fresh chat each time. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so as you can see, this is going to go really quickly. Determine a break-even point for planting, growing, and selling seeded watermelon. Let's break down the cost. We have the cost of soil. Okay. Soil and amendments, they priced it at $100 for the area to grow 50 watermelon. Fertilizer, cost of, yes, here it is. Soil, fertilizer, water, seeds, and labor, about $1,000. What's nice is it actually does the calculations here for you. So you can actually see the breakdown if you want to follow it, or if you like coding, you can actually write the code. So for this particular one, the total cost of growing 50 watermelons is $1,245, which breaks down to a cost of $24.90 per watermelon, which sounds very expensive, right? Okay, let's calculate the price per watermelon with the 30% markup. So this is suggesting you sell your watermelon for $32.37. Now, what's important to note is that when we wrote our prompt, we put very little information in. So when you actually go in and write your prompt, you're going to go back in and put in some real numbers. Maybe the soil is not $100. Maybe the soil is $30. Maybe you don't fertilize because you still have fertilizer. Maybe your water costs are lower. So you want to go in and adjust these. Maybe your labor costs are not going to be this high because you're just going to do it yourself and you're not going to pay someone. So when you go in, you would actually add this information to your prompt to get a more accurate total. But the whole idea is that you can see just by putting this little bit of information in, it goes through and it calculates it for you. So I actually did this earlier with some different information. And when I did it, the cost per watermelon came out to be about $14.50. With an aim of 20% profit margin, I should sell the watermelon for about $17.40. Okay. What's important is you want to use generative AI to help determine the price points and make your adjustments and assumptions. Okay. So this may be high, may be low. We're going to do some other things to it. There was, I actually ran this a little bit earlier, and I want to show you a previous break-even analysis that I ran earlier. Um, yeah. So earlier I ran one where I just said, okay, I'm a seasoned small market garden farmer. I put in more information. I put in the prices. This is for my product mix. And I just put in more detailed information. Actually, this is a nice one. So I put that same one in earlier. Okay, take into account cost of soil and water. And it's interesting because I use this very same chat GPT. I put in this prompt and it gave me a different look to the breakdown. And it actually gave me, see, my total costs here were $725. It gave me a cost per watermelon. Based on that, of 14.50 and 17.40 if I put in a 20% profit margin. So you want to play with a little bit. Remember, this is your first cut. This is not, you're not going to come to Chat GPT, put all this in and then run with it. You're going to want to sit, you're going to want to look at these numbers, but it gives you a really big head start on doing these kinds of calculations, as you can see. Because it would have taken me hours just to do this.
Right. So, Ryan, I'm going to ask you a question.
Sure.
So, one question,
Mm-hmm.
does it matter, like you're suggesting on different days,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if that's accurate, you can get a different look and type of response? Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Yeah, actually, because it does learn from you. So
Mhm.
yeah, you can get a different look and a different response, depending on how you type it in. Yeah, depending on what you put in. I may have typed something a little bit differently here than I did the second time. But yeah, so as you can see on this one, this Chat GPT 4, it didn't give me necessarily it gave me this look on the selling price versus on the one we just ran, it didn't give me this look.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Because I know some of the people in the audience, like for example, I'm going to call on like Kevin. So
Mhm.
based on what you do, can you see this really helping you create a price point for your teams are there to install solar panels. Could you see this helping you identify a price for your cost of installing solar panels?
Well, really, I mean, just from this example, no.
Oh,
I would be interested in playing around with it
Mhm.
a little myself,
Okay.
but with solar, it's constantly changing. The
Mhm.
price, we go off of what's called a price per watt.
Price per watt.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, so that price per watt is going to be different in different cities and different counties and different
Mhm.
states, just depending on what the going rate is, and then also um, you know, uh, labor costs are
Mhm.
going to be different depending on your skill and who I'm hiring.
Mhm.
And then also what the brand of the solar panels, the brand of the inverters, all of that stuff. There's so many variables
Mhm.
that it might be hard to keep up with.
Well, one of the things I would suggest if you're looking for recent, the most up-to-date costs is I use this for demonstrations, but if I need real-time information, I will use my Microsoft Copilot. So if you're running a PC, it comes pretty much standard. And Copilot pulls the most recent information. So ChatGPT is accurate until April 2023. So if you try to use it to put your cost per watt and your labor costs, it's going to be a little dated. But for actual numbers, I would go in and I pull those numbers using Copilot. And you can just type in, what is the cost per watt and give the time of day, give the place the location that you're going to be installing. Ask it, what is the local labor rate in this area? And it can give you those numbers. Once you have those, you can put them into your own prompt and you can come back to ChatGPT and just run it.
Yeah, that sounds good. And I
Yeah.
did see Copilot pop up. I haven't played with it yet, but
Yeah, I like Copilot.
my computer's been trying to get me to use it.
It's good.
So,
It's good for, I mean, it fills some gaps. I use them both, honestly. I use ChatGPT for really good in-depth answers to prompts. but I use Copilot to get the information that I put into the prompt.
Excellent. I'm also going to take one of the pause because I know there are others in the room that have a different type of model. Does
Okay.
anyone else have any questions where their business is not so much a tangible thing to sell, but more of an idea or creative? Are there any other questions?
Maybe it's a service.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I have a quick question for Kevin. Have you used AI yet in your business, Kevin?
No, the only thing that I've used, I've created a logo for some other things, but other than that, I haven't.
Yeah, it could really give you some very good insight into your business if you start using it this way. I think I want to, well, let's just go. I'll share with you at the end when I did my price projections, my profit projections, how it can really help you. So this is kind of some ideas to play around with this to look at your costs and your pricing. You may decide you want to do a different product mix. You may want to introduce something new. You may decide something's not as profitable as you thought maybe it was. So let's take a look at a product mix example. To me, that's kind of the next iteration of this. So we're sticking with our watermelon, with our small farmer, and we know that our small farmer sells watermelon, but there's not just one watermelon. They come in different sizes. There's a small, there's medium, and there's large. And we know that the small, and I use ChatGPT to find these prices in Central California, where our entrepreneurs located. 10-pound watermelons sell for between $3 and $7. A 20-pound, which would be a medium size, sells between $7 and $12. And a large, which would be 30 pounds and up, sells between $5 and $15. We know that from our entrepreneur that the large watermelons are the most popular item. And after that, the small watermelons sell. So knowing that we have only so much space and time, what would be the optimum product mix? What would be the optimum mix of watermelon sizes that will get us the maximum profit? And how much should each type of watermelon, how much of each type should we grow to achieve that maximum profit? So I'm going to go ahead again and put this prompt in the chat so you can use it kind of as a model. And of course, you'll adjust it for your own product or service. And my actual prompt has a little more information than this one. The actual prompt talks about how much space I've allocated for growing the watermelons. And how much, small watermelons require the smallest amount of space versus the large that require the most space. So these are things that you'll do as you refine your prompts. But for first cut, you might just go generic. So I'm going to put this in so you all can have it. Oh, it's too long. Oh no, I can't put it in. It's too long.
Can you do like half and half?
Yeah, I'll do that.
I've never heard that from Zoom before.
Not in chat. Well, I never tried to put this much into a Zoom chat either. Okay, let's do this. I'll go here. I'll do my first part. And again, when you're talking to ChatGPT and you're writing your prompts, you want to tell it you are a seasoned farmer. You are an expert web designer. You want to tell it, put it in the frame of mind of the person who's going to be writing this, who's going to be answering this question. Let's see if this is it. Yeah, 2 parts. See, I don't spell that well. Let's paste that in. Okay. And then I'm going to actually paste the whole thing, in my ChatGPT. Okay, so now we've said, all right, I'm growing watermelons. This is how many I have. This is how many I can grow in this space. This is the amount of space I have. How much? What's the best mix to get the maximum profit? And how much should I charge? How much of each type should I grow? to get the best profit. Does that sound like something that would be good to know? Now, I'm not hearing anybody. I have nobody talking back.
I'm sure it would be interesting for
Okay,
folks.
all right. Mhm.
You know, I was just going to think. So I'm trying to think based on who I see in the group. There are those who have various levels of services and products,
Mhm.
even those from a service standpoint.
Mhm.
You know, and we've seen this when we're purchasing from other people, right? So there's the service that is the low level service, if you will, just the bare minimum, and there's a service that's the full package.
Yes.
And people price, you know, service 1, 2, and 3 based on where they're trying to drive their customers to. Because you see this at Starbucks, right? The
Right.
price difference between a medium cup and a large cup, very minimum. So, you know, I might as well buy the large cup. So
Mhm.
I'm sure that's a consideration, whether it's a service or product.
Yeah. In this one, also the nuances are large watermelons are the most popular. People want the big ones, but they buy more quantities of small. So you don't want to discount that. So someone may come and buy 4 small ones versus, one large one. So you want to take that into account when you're looking at your product mix. So again, and you're going to know the nuances of your product or service. Right. So let's see what it'll do for us in just a matter of seconds. Okay. So we gave it some space limitations. So we only had 1/3 of an acre, I think is what we started with. Okay. So it's restating what we already know, what we told it. People buy the larger quantities of small ones. They like the big ones, but they'll buy more small ones. So how do we calculate that? This is fairly new. It gives you the Python code, so you can actually copy that code yourself and run it in Python if you want. You can tweak it, which is kind of cool. Those of you like coding. Mm, yeah, it's still doing stuff.
You know, while it's doing it, so with ChatGPT, can you ask it to, if you will, spit out the results so you can put into an Excel spreadsheet? Can you tweak it?
You can actually have it put into the format of an Excel spreadsheet, just by how you write your prompt.
Mm,
Or I'm actually in the Excel spreadsheet, but you can put it in a table
right.
that you
Okay.
can transfer it. Okay. So based on the calculations for 3 different scenarios, prioritizing the mix of small, medium, and large, here's an estimated maximum profits for each scenario, assuming maximum sale prices to simplify the calculation. So in scenario 1, equal distribution among small, medium, and large, the maximum profit you can make is $567. Okay. In scenario 2, if you prioritize large and small with less medium, the estimated maximum profit is approximately 560. In scenario 3, you maximize the large, balance the small and medium, you can actually estimate your maximum profit of $600. So to achieve maximum profit, the best mix of watermelon sizes would be 15 small, 10 medium, and 25 large. So it tells you how many to grow to get that amount at $600. This is the analysis. You can actually view it. What do you
Thank you for
think?
the
Yeah.
example.
Yeah. What do you think?
It's a good starting off, jumping off point. Like you said, I would do many iterations of that, giving it,
Mhm.
fine tuning the information that I feed it.
Awesome. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I ran one earlier, and this is the one I cut and pasted. But based on the proposed mix I ran earlier today, you would make $60 in small watermelons, 76 in medium, and 300 selling large. Okay. So the total profit from selling 50 of mixed sizes is 436. And you can see this is a little different than the numbers we just ran. There were some, in this one, there were some assumptions that were made. When I ran this scenario, the assumption was that a small watermelon and a large watermelon took up the same amount of space when you grew up. And when we know that's not true. So I just I tweaked it a little bit before we ran it just now. So these are some of the nuances, but again, it's a starting point. It gives you some idea of kind of where you want to put your effort and your time. And thumbs up if it's cool, thumbs down if it's not.
Oh, big thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Okay.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So I mean, it went pretty fast, and I know you
Okay.
said this is just a starting point, but did it have anything as far as losses in there?
So we didn't put losses in. And when you say losses, help me understand that, because I'm hearing you say losses, but I'm thinking costs.
Well, I mean, I'm not a farmer, but I would think that if I plant 15 watermelons, I'm
Mhm.
most likely not going to get 15
To do what?
watermelons to
Exactly. That's
sell.
good. Yeah, that's good. That's good. No, it didn't. So when I'm actually writing this prompt to really find out what my mix should be, I would include that in the prompt. I would say assuming average loss, and I would continue it. So maybe the first iteration I would, let me go back in and put in, I'll lose, 10%. If I wasn't sure what the average loss when planting watermelons, I would use ChatGPT to find out. I would ask that question. What's the average loss of average amount of loss you experience when planting watermelons?
Or you could flip it and phrase it as the yield that you would.
Yes, that's
And
right.
we know what the germination rate is from the seeds, et cetera, et cetera. So you can feed
Yeah.
it all kinds of information.
All kinds, yeah, and get more accurate numbers.
Mhm,
The idea is that it can spit out some info that can be very helpful.
mhm.
Is there a limit on the number of scenarios that you can put in here and maintain?
It depends on if you have the free version or if you have the paid version. So total number of scenarios, no, but how often you can ask questions, yes. So if you have the paid version, you can ask more questions per hour than if you have the unpaid version. And I used to know what that was, but I don't. I can look it up though. Go ahead.
I was going to say per hour. There's so many questions per hour.
Yeah, there's so many queries you can make per hour.
That's
How
good to
much how much is the paid over the free as far as
Um,
the cost?
for me, it was significant. Oh, the paid is $20 a month, and free is free. But for me, because I use it so much, I can ask significantly more questions per hour. So I just paid the $20. But you don't have to. You could use the Chat GPT 3.5, and it'll still give you information. It just can't ask it as frequently or as much. But if you want to know, I can look it up. I'll look it up on break.
Right. So I'm going to take another pause. So this could be very detailed, and I don't want it to be overwhelming for anyone.
Okay.
Any other like just high level questions, or if maybe someone would want to follow on session, literally on creating these prompts, identifying like the approach to writing cost analysis type scenarios.
Mhm.
Again, whether it's service-based, someone has more of a creative space, or something they're trying to envision how AI could help them because the offerings are a little bit different.
Yeah.
Any
I,
questions?
I would also like to offer to the crowd, in case anybody's here for the first time, we have requested to repeat this whole series, because if you're like me and you're new to AI and this is the first time you're seeing it, there are a lot of things you probably would need to know to make this make sense. So we're going to start from the beginning, and when she's the first one, we learned about ChatGPT, how to open an account and how to start from the beginning. So a lot of stuff that she's going over assumes that we know that we were here from the beginning. So we will do this whole series again.
Yeah, and we can maybe use another business for a case study on the next one too. So does this sound right, Dr. Evelyn? So based on those numbers, the recommendation is priority given to large watermelons, 60% of the capacity to large. And then next priority is 25% of your capacity to the small watermelons, and then 15% to medium.
Sure, I would give it more information on who my audience is and what they prefer.
Okay.
But again, this is a wonderful starting off point. So I would help it become a seasoned farmer so
Good.
that it could give me the information I'm seeking.
Okay,
Right,
outstanding.
right. Thank you so much.
So,
Are there others? Someone's here with a trucking business. Would it be interesting to ask ChatGPT about, what a good schedule run is, or what kind of information would you be seeking, Charlotte, for example?
yeah.
Well, for right now, we're just getting started. I would ask about the average of what dispatchers are charging truck drivers
Okay.
for loads.
Okay. And for something like that, I would definitely probably use Copilot, or I wouldn't necessarily use ChatGPT to ask that, because you're only going to get information that's accurate through April 2023. But for Copilot, they'll find out the most accurate information.
And just for clarification, is Copilot an AI addition to Microsoft?
It absolutely is. It's included. Yeah.
And that comes up when you use Bing as the search engine. Is that right, Ronnie?
That is true. Yep.
Okay.
When you're using Bing.
So it's automatic when you use Bing.
And I would show it, but I don't have, I'm running a Mac, so I don't run it on here. Maybe in the next, when we do the next series, I'll have a PC so I could show how that looks. But yeah, it just comes automatically. And even, so in Bing, in the search engines, you can just type the question in and it will automatically use that Copilot on the back end to answer your question. So you know how we go into Google now and you ask a question of, what is the average rate of, what was that you just said? Of loads, the average cost per load or something like that?
From
Okay.
Sean? Yes.
Yes.
Michelle? Yeah, so now you would go into Google, what's the average cost per load, and it would come back with articles, it would come up with blogs, it would come back with, some consultant who's trying to sell you services. Well, now with the AI integrated, it will actually come back with an answer instead of just places to go and read about it.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Well, if you take it as a starting point, it's not bad.
Okay.
If you take it as gospel, yeah, you probably should be a little concerned.
Okay.
Awesome. How are we doing on time?
Yes, we're good. We're just past the halfway point. So
Okay. So I wanted to show you all a financial projection example. And I used my business. So I ran a co-working space. And if any of you have visited a co-working space, you've seen that they have places where you can go and sit, open spaces. They have desks that you can rent. There's usually some type of conference area. Maybe there's a conference. There's a conference room. Maybe there's even, a telephone, a place where you can go and have private meetings. So in my co-working space, I think I'm gonna pull up my notes. Yeah. So my co-working space had a bunch of stuff. So I wrote a prompt based on that, and I wanted to show you how you can look at financial projections based on your capacity. And this can be translated to, if you're in trucking, based on how many trucks you have, or mileage. You can adjust it to all of those different types of variables that you're looking for. But it's very cool that you can look at different snapshots of your business based on capacity and make some real decisions. So for mine, the co-working space is available 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. And it operates on a traditional co-working model. If you're not familiar, there's just extra information you don't need. People who use the space are entrepreneurs, there's small teams, there are people in the community, there are organizations who need to meet. People purchase access through vendors like Peerspace or Liquid Space. And the co-working space has 8 desks that you can sit at that you can use for $30 a day, about 20 days in the month. It has a conference room that seats 10 people. The conference room goes for $30 an hour. So you actually have 160 hours of conference room space a month. It has a podcast studio that's available for $30 an hour, about 130 hours per month. It has a flexible office that you can rent for $15 an hour. Okay. With all of that information, what are the monthly financial projections at these different capacities? So I wanted to find out, what capacity should I be targeting in order to make the type of income that I wanted to make on my co-working space? So I know this is very high level. It doesn't talk about, parking or how many square feet. It doesn't talk about any of this. Is just a high level. And again, if you're doing this for your business, this is your first draft. So I'm going to put that in. And let's see what kind of numbers we're talking about, we're looking at.
That's a lot of information.
I actually used it for my business plan.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I was going for after funding,
Mhm.
and looking at my numbers and, looking at projections. So again, this is relatively new. This wasn't, it wasn't doing this a couple of months ago. It wasn't giving you the code.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it wasn't really doing that. So based on that, at 30% capacity, my little space could earn $8,000, $8,130. At 50% capacity, $10,000. At 70% capacity, $12,000 a month. And at 90% capacity, I'm looking at $14,000. Most co-working spaces average 30% capacity. So, and most people are trying to get it to 70% capacity. So again, for me, I would check these numbers and make sure your assumptions are right. But that's a really quick snapshot of where you're going to be targeting. So for me, with this information, that helped me determine what type of social media marketing I needed to invest my time in. It helped me determine where I should be marketing. When I actually did my numbers, and this is just a small, it's not the actual one I ran, I found out something very surprising. I thought that most of my business would come from monthly memberships. And I found out that my highest grossing numbers came from people renting my conference room. I made the most on renting conference room space. So very, very surprising things that you might learn when you run your financial projections. And so the one I ran earlier was a little bit different. So at 30% capacity was $47.70, 50%. I ran at 50%, 70%, and 90%. So again, you want to use these to determine some price points. You want to make your adjustments as you go. I would absolutely tweak that prompt I just wrote. I would throw in more detail, more information. Yeah, but that kind of gives you some idea of where to start.
Wow. So I'm trying to think of something else. So as you ask about projections, can you dive into, and to your point, ask questions about how much should I spend on marketing? How much should I spend on, like, could you get to that level of detail?
You absolutely could, and that's all going to be dependent on your prompt. But you write the right prompt, and it will run those numbers for you and kick that information out. So for mine, again, this was very high level. My actual prompt was more detailed, but I was able to identify where I thought my business was coming from, who was using it. Community groups were using it more than day rate users. So you can really get nuanced in your prompt. And of course, the more nuanced you are, the better your numbers are going to, more true your numbers are going to be.
This is an amazing tool. I can't reinforce enough to everyone here that if they're not running numbers and really understanding their price points and their cost, they're going to be blindsided, right?
Yeah, you could spend a lot of money in an area that you think is profitable for you, and it really isn't, and you're wondering why you aren't hitting your targets. Um, I know for me, when I determined that most of my business, my most profitable business was conference room use, I was able to leverage platforms. I went out to Peerspace, I went out to Liquid Space. I started listing them, and I spent most of my marketing information making sure I stayed top of line in those platforms rather than doing blanket marketing just general to individuals. I know that people looking for conference room spaces will go to a place like Peerspace. They'll go to Liquid Space. They're not going to just kind of go on Facebook or LinkedIn to see where's the conference rooms. So that really helped me focus my marketing dollars and my energy.
Mm.
Liquid Space.
Liquid Space, yep, and Peerspace. Those are the two top ones, but there's a bunch of them. I was on like 12 platforms.
Liquid Space is a platform that you.
Yeah, it's a platform that anyone can use if you're looking for, if you want, I'll show you real quick.
If it's
If
like
you're,
Peerspace, I'm sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
yeah, Peerspace, if you're looking for a place to host a meeting,
Mhm.
or you want to do a photo shoot, or you want to have a baby shower or things like that, you go to these places. The flexible office space. Yeah. So for someone who's looking for an office for the day, and because I'm in Vegas, you have people who are flying in, they've got an 18-hour layover, they don't want to stay in the airport. So they'll find an office that they can use that's near the airport and go and use an office for the day. And I would get a lot of business like that. And again, it was like, it wasn't the people, around the corner, wasn't the folks at my church. It was these people who were looking for space that who knew what they were looking for. So yeah, so you could go here and, enter Las Vegas and search, tell them what you're looking for. And I'm not going to take a lot of time showing you. I just wanted you guys to kind of take a look at if you're looking for space, or if you have a facility and you're looking to make a little extra, you can list that your space here on a place like this.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And that's an interesting question. So, if your product and service is primarily one thing,
Mm-hmm.
I guess you can use ChatGPT to talk about expanding into a different area to leverage some not used capacity. So whether it's space or, I don't know, with Evelyn, if you're primarily growing vegetables or fruit and somebody, would you want to lease out, I say lease,
Yeah, yeah.
your space to somebody else to grow something? Um, so is that a question? And I guess everything's up for grabs when it comes to ChatGPT, but for
Yeah.
anybody on the call here, if they wanted to find ways to use any non-used capacity in their services or space, you can ask GPT the value of doing that. Does that make sense?
You could do that. Yeah. I would do that. And again, I would use some more up to date, but GPT will give you some generic ones. For example, for me, it would have said find find platforms that advertise hosted space. So for you, if you have, I'm thinking maybe if you're in transportation. And well, actually, let's go back to the farm. Maybe if you have an acre and you might decide you want to make a space open to for community gardens, people who want to have their own, you know, raised box to grow their own stuff. Maybe that might be something that you want to offer as a service to the community. You can run numbers to see, oh, well, if I charged, $15 a month for them to use this space, what kind of revenue could I generate from that?
Mhm. I also would, on that vein, ask ChatGPT what other kinds of revenue I could generate.
Yes, yeah,
For example, I could do garden design and installation,
right.
or raising or building the raised beds.
True. Or consulting. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
So yeah, those are some of the other I call them tangential, but yeah, other tangential types of products or services you can offer.
So that's a question to everyone. Who here is maybe thinking about or has thought about another product or services that's not in your main line of offerings, and you're trying to consider should you go there or not? Is anyone thinking about something in addition to what they already do?
I am now.
Well, for me, I was thinking about getting into consulting and then also getting into training for the solar. So is that something that I would ask chat, or is that something I would probably go into Copilot first to get numbers to put into GPT?
I would get the exact numbers in Copilot, but you could ask chat. It would give you a good overview of some type of some of the supplemental revenue streams that could come from what you're talking about. So yeah, I would use both. Copilot for the numbers, but ChatGPT for the concepts. That's a good idea though. That's especially if you're talking about training people on how to go into solar. Maybe they're thinking about installing, maybe they're thinking about purchasing and they want to be more knowledgeable on questions to ask. That's really good. Especially if you're wanting to do it virtually. Okay. So I have one more thing I want to show you all. And this is how you can use this to research your competitors. So going back to Dr. Evelyn's business, I wondered who and what are the main competitors of a small market garden farmer located in Central California. Okay, very high level, not a lot of detail, but let's see what ChatGPT can share with us regarding that. Maybe you know who your competitors are. Maybe there's some competitors you hadn't considered. So I'm going to start a new chat because we don't want to take that information from all of the other answers it gave us. We start a new one. We're going to paste it. Let's see what it comes up with. Okay, so a small market garden farmer in Central California would face competition on various fronts, both indirect and direct challenges. So here's a broad overview of the main competitors and factors that could influence your local farmers and market gardens. Directly, small market gardens, local farmers in the area can be seen as direct competitors, especially those who grow similar crops. Farmers markets, participation in local farmers markets can be competitive with limited slots for vendors. Organic farms, organic versus conventional. The market is organic. It may compete with other organic farms in the region. Conversely, if it's not, it may find itself competing against growing demand for organic products. Again, large agricultural operations, you may or not have considered them as competition, but they can offer lower prices due to economies of scale, making it challenging for smaller operations to compete. Distribution, they have more distribution. Your specialty crop farms, your niche markets are competitors. Diversification due to specialty crops can be a strategy for small farms to differentiate themselves from competitors. Okay, there's this thing called agritourism and value-added products. There's imported produce, that's competitor. Supermarkets and grocery chains, of course, online marketplaces, and subscription services. Okay, so these are some of the competitors. And you can, knowing this, you can develop a plan to be competitive, how you can position yourself to be competitive in that landscape. Now, when I ran it earlier, I got some different answers. So I got some direct competitors. Like that, you pick farms and agritourism. Yeah, farms that offer you pick services or other agritourism experiences can also be competitors.
Yeah, that's like Murray Family Farms here.
Okay, yeah. Organic. So I wonder if I had notes I put. Okay, I didn't. I had a bunch I didn't put in the notes. But so just some ideas, and actually I have that one that I ran. Let's see if I can find it.
You know, I'm just going to add, as you're looking. So for those who are part of our cohort and have spent time with Mr. James Steiner doing the business assessment, you know this concept of checking out your competitors.
Mhm.
So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but that's a great source of information to fine tune your own approach, your own business. If somebody's invented the wheel, find a different wheel that makes sense for your area. So.
Yeah. And I know, and you all are going through that same content that our folks are going through, right? There's an exercise we did in week 2 that talks about the commodity trap and how in this environment of our services and businesses being a commodity, I mean, so many people are selling similar things, how to differentiate yourself. And it gave 4 top ways to differentiate yourself if you're in a commodity type of business. And so using some of those, offering more, um, being, just giving them being more personable or being more established as more exclusive. So there's ways that you can distinguish yourself even with these types of competitors that seem, that may seem overwhelming or daunting. Yeah.
So I'm going to pause me because so I know Aisha is here.
Okay.
So, Aisha, how are you feeling about how AI can help you refine your offerings? Because I know you're working through what you offer for your space.
Honestly, since we've started these trainings, I've been living on AI because
Okay.
as being a solopreneur, it's been really helpful to just get like the springboard and put maybe an idea in there and then refine it. Because what I've found to be really challenging in my business is just articulating what I do in a clear way.
Mhm.
And so Chat GPT has really been helpful in doing that. Like I said, because being by myself, sometimes it's like, well, I don't know. Who knows if this sounds good? It sounds good to me. But
Mhm.
I want to make sure, um, that I'm presenting my business in the best way for potential clients to understand. Because I believe that's where I've been challenged over the last year. It's just clearly communicating and articulating what I do. And Chat GPT has been really instrumental in helping me, refine the words that I use to capture everything I'm trying to say without making it long and drawn out.
Good. Awesome. Awesome. Good. Yeah, this tool is here and we got to embrace it or we're going to get left behind. That's my feeling on it.
Excellent. Well, I know we're down to our last 5 minutes.
Okay.
Definitely one opportunity if there's any additional questions. And because this is, if you will, our capstone for these 3. And I see a hand. So Gerald, absolutely. Do you have a question? Go ahead. You can come off mute, Gerald.
Okay. All of them are done.
Gerald, can you come off mute? Go ahead and ask your question.
Uh-oh.
Oh, he can't unmute.
Okay. Okay. Oh, shoot. I wonder if he can type his question.
Yeah, go ahead and type it in the chat, Gerald, if for whatever reason you can't unmute. I'll make sure we get that out.
Okay.
Are there any other questions while he's typing his question? Oh, yeah, his question, will this video be emailed to the attendees? So yes, we can make this available. I'll put this in my Dropbox. So definitely for those only who were here this evening, we can send the link for those who attended this evening. But as Mr. Ali was saying, we definitely want to do this series again. Definitely starting people from the beginning to just getting a Chat GPT account and maybe an account with some of the other different types of AI
Yeah.
out there.
There are other tools too. Yeah.
And then that whole process of opening an account, using it for social media marketing, and using it for financial decisions.
Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome. So just wanted to close with there's opportunities for generative AI. There are some pitfalls. We know that it can opportunities, it can save you time, it can save you money. You can create more engaging communications. It can help you streamline your messaging. Some of the pitfalls is you want to be careful. You don't want to become so over reliant on it that you're just putting questions in and then cutting, pasting. You always want to check the information. You always want to check your numbers, check the data, and make sure that it's in your voice. But it's a great start. I like to say it's a great first draft. Awesome. And with that, I want to say thank you, thank you. If there are any other questions, we do have a few minutes, and we'll be here. And Cherie, you're going to send out the recording, so
Yes.
that should
Somebody
answer some.
asked a question, I think in the chat, are we going to be going over this on Saturday? And I can tell you that while we will be going over this again, we will be delving into this, and our program is going to incorporate AI as much as possible. Our Saturday lessons are already pre-designated and dedicated to topics that's going to be presented. So we're not going to try to squeeze this into one of our boot camp sessions. But we will be making this part of our program. So don't think that we're not going to continue this.
Right. And just to add to that, one of the things I was talking to Ronnie about a little bit earlier, for those who are in our cohort, this is great timing. So as we're talking about using information to make financial decisions, and those financial decisions to help with other decisions, for those who are in our boot camp, particularly for this Saturday, we're looking at having a separate session that would use AI for some of the handouts and exercises that are specifically for that boot camp session. So stay tuned. We just need to find a date and time that makes the most sense. But that's part of the way of incorporating AI into our boot camp. And for those who are in previous boot camps, and those definitely maybe a little bit more advanced in the use of AI. So if you want to find or talk about ways that AI can help you because you're a more advanced user, reach out to us and maybe we can set up a session that's for the more advanced users.
Awesome.
Chances are, we do our boot camps every other Saturday. We're getting enough requests and enough notices about information like this that we may on the off Saturdays we may throw in sessions about this, and we have some other programs such as Live Plan and QuickBooks and stuff like that. So we may be having workshops on those subjects on the off Saturdays from the boot camps.
That'd be awesome. Awesome.
I wanted to thank you, Ronnie, for talking with me and helping me or using the Black Farmers Association as an example. It's been very helpful. So thank you so much.
Wonderful. I so enjoyed talking with you. And reach out anytime with any questions. I want a watermelon though. I'll be honest.
You got it.
Awesome. All right. Well, you all have a great evening. And thank you so much for your attention. And yeah, hope to talk to you all again soon.
All right. Stay tuned. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, Ronnie. Talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Thank you.